What's going on, guys? John here checking in for United View, the match report of the game. Nottingham Forest versus Manchester United in the FA Cup. And the game has ended 1-0 to Manchester United following a Casemiro header, a cheeky header. Come on. I was begging, please don't go to extra time. Please, let's just end it in the first half. I was getting so desperate. I was like, oh my God, just end it. I don't want to see this anymore. Like, is it just me, or is it all of Manchester United fans this season where like 8 or 9 out of 10 games this season, it's like we walk into it feeling with like getting a mild panic attack on cue, ready to go. Like, these games have been so stressful, but thankfully for Manchester United, we walk away with a result. Prior to the kickoff, there were concerns that Bruno Fernandes might not make it into the 11. Some fans were saying, oh, maybe it's a good opportunity, a blessing in disguise for for an opportunity for him to rest. Some fans were saying, no way, we need him no matter what. His form hasn't been great, but you know Bruno Fernandes, when he can produce, he can produce. I don't think he had a good game today, but despite the performance, he did come in clutch with that free kick. It was a low drive, and it did meet the forehead of Casemiro, who did bury it in the back of the net. So, regardless of the performance, he did impact the game positively, so I have nothing else to say in that matter. But we've just been plagued with injuries. It's like a second round of injuries. It's insane. And that first half was absolutely horrid. We saw Victor Lindelof on that left back role. We know he is ineffective there. He looks like a headless chicken when it comes to playing in a left back role. I love Victor Lindelof. I love Iceman. But his natural role as a center back is way different from him playing left back. And today, I was hoping that Erik ten Hag would maybe utilize Victor Lindelof differently. And this is what I saw. This is what I wanted to talk to you guys about. Last game, we were saying that when Victor Lindelof first sort of appeared, this is what we were saying. I'm all over the place here. What we were saying before was what we saw from Victor Lindelof when he was playing in that last match. You don't want to see Victor Lindelof bumming down the left-hand side. He is not a fullback. That's not his natural game. He needed to focus on just prioritizing that defensive stability and the positional awareness, because he doesn't really attribute or contribute in that sense going down this left-hand side. In that match against Fulham, there was an opportunity for him to bum down the left-hand side. He had all the space and time in the world. Bruno Fernandes picking a pass over the top. He can't get there. He lacks the pace. He lacks the stretch. His left leg looks awkward, and I was concerned that might be the same case this game. But thankfully, it wasn't that game. It was actually Sofyan Amrabat. But it was horrible. Sofyan Amrabat was actually trying to do just that, and he looked so awkward. And so many Man United fans were saying that this is on Erik ten Hag, this and this and that. You can't solely blame everything on the manager when the players on that pitch cannot seem to complete simple 5-yard passes, are unaware of who's available for the give and go, who's actually being available for connecting for a pass to receive. It looks disjointed, and it looks like the simple things weren't being done. And Sofyan Amrabat in particular, in that first half, he looked so awkward. He looked scared. And I felt bad for him. Truly. Because I'd understand if we can easily criticize him for his performances in the defensive midfield role. He hasn't been good, but at least it's a clean sort of criticism if he doesn't perform in his natural position. But on the left-hand side, he looked so uncomfortable. He just didn't know what to do. And I was like, why the hell are we operating him that way? Why can't we play to the strengths of the player? Why are we conforming the players to the system? Sometimes that doesn't work when you don't have class, versatile players. And there's no disrespect to the Man United squad, but just we've seen this season that doesn't work. And in the second half, after the first half, it was just so piss poor. Second half, what we saw from Manchester United actually was a lot better, because this is what we saw from Manchester United. Rather than utilizing Sofyan Amrabat to push up forward, what we saw was actually Casemiro tucking in deep, letting Scott McTominay push up with Marcus Rashford, and keeping Dalot sort of a lot higher up the pitch with Sofyan slotting in down the middle. You saw that with Diogo Dalot when he was playing that inverted left back role. You saw him sort of, rather than make the overlap, sort of cut in and stay central. That's exactly what we did with Sofyan, and that was even better because Sofyan's natural role is in midfield. He was a phenomenal ball carrier in the second half. And don't get me wrong, I'm not saying he had a phenomenal game, but the second half was a tale of two halves for him, really. The first half was awful compared to the second half. He let Casemiro rest up and just dictate the tempo from behind, and Sofyan would tuck in central and drive the ball forward and connect with these players. That's what we want to see. Erik ten Hag got that right. And those things you have to credit Erik ten Hag for. You have to credit the manager in those cases because he got that right. He got that decision right. It's about adjusting, pivoting, calling audibles, ready to make changes as need be. The substitutions are the substitutions, but sometimes you have to let the players play to their strengths. And today, Unlike the game against Fulham, that's what we saw. And I personally think, despite Manchester United maybe not playing so well, despite Nottingham Forest maybe not bearing their chances, at the end of the day, it was Erik ten Hag's flexibility that got us that win. That's how I believe it. Two things in particular, of course. First off, in respects to the flexibility of Erik ten Hag at Manchester United. And secondly, Casemiro. I thought the best performers were Diogo Dalot and Rafael Varane and Andre Onana, who was phenomenal today. And we'll talk about that a little bit later. But for me, I want to show a little bit of love to Casemiro. He's been getting just roasted throughout the entire season for his lack in performance. He saw there were moments in that first half today where Awani, Elanga, Gibbs White, they were just running past Casemiro. And Casemiro just looks like a shadow form, a former. I don't even know what I'm saying. He just looks like he isn't the sharp Casemiro that we saw last season. And I feel bad for him because that's not necessarily on him. It's Father Time. Father Time waits for nobody. But I felt like he still had something left to give this season. And today's performance, it wasn't the greatest, but you saw him working hard, and that's what you love to see. So I want to give special love to Casemiro. And moving on, let's talk about Rafael Varane and Diogo Dalot. They dictated the tempo. And alongside Andre Onana, they kept us in this game today. Not even going to lie to you. It was them three. Them three kept us in. Positionally, they were solid. They dictated the tempo in terms of building up from the initial third to the midfield. They were on it. Rafael Varane saw lots of time on the ball. He was very active on the ball on that left-hand side, trying to connect with Garnacho, trying to connect with Marcus Rashford, trying to connect with Bruno Fernandes. The first half, one of the problems was that we just couldn't get that final pass right. We were I can't even call it sloppy. It just doesn't, like something was off. You know what I mean? Something just felt off. But Rafael Varane and Diogo Dalot thankfully kept us in that first half, and the second half, a solid performance from Andre Onana to keep us in this game. Marcus Rashford has been getting criticized heavily for his lack of involvement in the press from a defensive perspective. Today, I saw him run a lot more. I personally don't think it's as simple as night and day. I maybe think that Erik ten Hag maybe instructs him to stay a little less reserved, a little more reserved, so that when the transition happens on the break, Rashi can be available with the stamina that he saved up. That's how I see it, but many Man United fans disagree. They actually think that Marcus Rashford just doesn't show it. He definitely hasn't been his self. He definitely hasn't been his former self. He looks like he's disinterested at times. He looks like he's sad. He looks like he's just falling out of love with football, and that's the worst thing you want to see from a footballer as bright and sharp as Marcus Rashford on his day. Today, he looked a little sharper, and I just want to see that progression. That's what you want to see, especially when he has to play in an uncomfortable position. Last season, he was phenomenal for us wherever he played, down the left, in the middle. This season, we almost saw, bits of Marcus Rashford that he cannot play to when it comes to requirements as a number 9. Hold-up play is not Marcus Rashford's game, but consistently, there was a defender touched tight on him, and he was constantly getting muscled out. I thought the referee sort of, was a bit harsh on Man United at times, but nonetheless, that's not Marcus's strengths. Marcus Rashford, he doesn't like a center back touched tight on his back. He likes to receive the ball to feet, turn, have a bit of space between himself and an opposition player, and take players on. I would rather see Scott McTominay in the 9 and Marcus Rashford down the left. I would rather see Aaron Bissaka as right back and Diogo Dalot right wing. I would rather see some sort of, conformative changes to many aspects of this squad. Some radical, some not. But with respect to Marcus, I'd rather just keep him on his left-hand side. Let him build that momentum, at least going into this final end of the season, Final half of the season, rather. But anyways, like I said, my man of the match, I want to give it to Casemiro because that's my guy. You guys know how much I love Casemiro. But I think I'm going to have to give it to Diogo Dalot. And I can't wait until when the end of the season comes where I have to raise my hands up and say the words, my bad, to Diogo Dalot. Because I've always rated Aaron Bissaka as the right back, first choice for Manchester United. But Diogo Dalot has completely, to me, right now, at this moment in time, cemented that right back role. Irrespective of whether or not Aaron Bissaka was pulled out because of injuries, it's not going to be an easy road back for him. And that's what you want to see. You want to see competitiveness. You want to see competition for positions. And Diogo Dalot has been phenomenal. Arguably, probably getting there to be potential player of the season for Manchester United. In what seems to be a bleak season, if we can end it on a high, Diogo Dalot will definitely be on that list for one of the standout performers. But anyways, what was your thoughts on the match, guys? Get in the comments and let us know. And if you're new to the channel, please consider subscribing to the United View. And if you want to hear more of what I have to say, come check me out on my channel. The links are all in the description below. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. As always, come on, United. Be happy, be healthy, take care of your loved ones. And I'll see you later. Peace!